Hi, I'm Will Mungo.
And I'm Freddie Pope. Welcome to the Monday Night Roar.
We have your latest Clemson news, entertainment, and sports.
All that and more coming up on the Monday Night Roar.
Zipcar, the car-sharing service, has partnered with Clemson University to help students get around campus. Clemson will be provided 6 cars in the beginning with their own parking spots located at Sykes, Serene, Thornhill, Fike, and Bryan Circle. The cars will be available for 24/7 with a membership price for students of $25 a year. In addition to the membership price, students can reserve a vehicle from their smartphones for $7.50 an hour or $69 for the whole day. The service is available for students 18 and older as well as community members 21 and older.
Some sad news to come out of this weekend is the news of the fatal plane crash into the banks of the Lake Hartwell. The crash occurred sometime around 3 p.m. on Friday and was fatal to all 4 passengers. The passengers were flying into Clemson Airport to attend the Clemson-Notre Dame game this weekend.
Also this weekend, the severe weather has been a major impact on South Carolina. We've seen some heavy showers here in Clemson, but other parts of the state are suffering flooding, erosion, and very high wind speeds. Governor Nikki Haley declared a state of emergency last Thursday night, and even President Obama declared one as well late Saturday afternoon. Columbia, Myrtle Beach, and Charleston have seen the worst of the storms, seeing as much as 20 inches of rainfall over the past few days, more than the state has ever seen. Governor Haley has issued a statement asking residents of South Carolina to keep off the roads and to stay home, especially in flooded communities. Clemson University officials and staff will be working throughout the week to assess reports and try to manage the impact of the storm. To those of you, students, faculty, or anyone else watching that has suffered loss or are dealing with this disaster firsthand, we ask you to stay safe, don't try to drive through the floods, and our thoughts are with you.
Clemson announced that the university was able to award $12.5 million in grant money to energy-saving research projects. The money is split into 2 separate projects: a $6.7 million project into making industrial motors more efficient, and a $5.8 million project that will look into creating ultra-lightweight, fuel-saving automobile doors that will help improve the efficiency ratings in cars. And here's John Oliver with your entertainment news.
Thanks, guys. Hillary Clinton made a surprise, hilarious appearance on the season opener of SNL this past weekend. The presidential hopeful played Val, a bartender, while Kate McKinnon did a spot-on impersonation of the former Secretary of State. Miley Cyrus hosted the show, and she nailed it. In a recent promo for Keeping Up with the Kardashians, it seems Khloe and Lamar are perhaps friends again. The clip shows Khloe getting excited about a phone call from her ex-husband, while big sister Kim is in the background throwing shade. Is anyone else tired of them? Because I am. After a year dispute, Robin Williams' state legal battle has come to a close. His wife Susan dropped her petition to receive more spousal support. Williams' children expressed the joy they feel for having the case behind them. Many of Williams' possessions will be awarded to his children. Heidi Klum Instagrammed some pictures this past weekend of her in a full-body cast suit. The model captioned the pictures with, "So yucky, but so worth it in the end." Perhaps she was sending out her Halloween costumes for later this year. Here's something to make the happiest place on earth just a little bit better. Disney executives confirmed that they are changing their pricing model for the first time in over 60 years. The model will consist of lowering prices during non-tourist seasons and weekdays, however, increasing entry fees on weekends and holidays. So my advice, skip school and go to Disney. Hashtag back to you.
Thanks, John Oliver. An assistant professor in the architecture program, Armando Mantilla Navarro, died in an auto accident last Friday afternoon. The cause of the accident is still under investigation. President Clemens tweeted about the incident Saturday, asking to keep his family in our thoughts or prayers.
Clemson Athletics and Coach Dabo's All In Foundation will be working hard this month for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Awareness efforts will include pink Nike gear for the football games, apparel sold from Southern Fried Cotton, which will help fund the St. Francis mobile mammography van, which gives those in need access to free mammograms.
The rankings are out. Clemson, in its win over Notre Dame, has moved up in many of the polls. AP poll and Coaches poll ranked Clemson number 6 overall, and the Massey Composite poll holds Clemson at number 9, while the S&P poll has Clemson sitting at number 4. And some news from South Carolina that has seen national coverage in outlets like New York Times and Huffington Post comes out of Charleston. The Charleston County School of the Arts has started a movement calling attention to how dress codes work in high schools. The students are wearing a scarlet A like the scarlet letter, saying that the dress codes are unfairly stacked against female students. The movement has, on a national scale, come under the moniker #IamMoreThanADistraction.
In the midst of tragedy last Thursday, a story of heroism emerged as Army veteran Chris Mintz was shot 7 times while attempting to stop the shooter in Umpqua County College in Oregon. Mintz, who served about 10 years in the U.S. Army, reportedly pleaded with the gunman to stop shooting due to the fact that it was his son's birthday after being shot himself. He reportedly charged the gunman, was shot 3 times, and was shot again after he hit the ground and began to plead with the gunman to stop the shooting. Along with the gunshot wounds, Mintz also had both legs broken when he arrived at the hospital after the shooting. Mintz has had surgery since the shooting and will have to undergo physical therapy to learn to walk again, but he is alive and on the way to recovery. He is also receiving tons of praise for his heroism in times of crisis. A GoFundMe page was set up for the hero by his cousin, Derek Burgess. The funds from the campaign will be sent directly to Mintz to assist with his recovery, including medical bills, child care for his son, and other such expenses.
Atlanta's Mayor Kasim Reed has this past week urged men to speak out against sexual assault. He has teamed up with the Take a Stand movement and has come out saying that even the smallest changes in tone can help the movement. In an interview with Zerlina Maxwell, he is quoted as saying, "We can change the tone of the conversation by just emphasizing the fact among friends that no actually means no."
Last year, CNN digital correspondent and editor-at-large Kelly Wallace released an article titled 28 Internet Acronyms Every Parent Should Know. The article received much ridicule from various websites over the internet like Reddit and Tumblr due to the fact that most of the acronyms mentioned in the title were clearly fake, and the article was aimed to make our generation look like a bunch of sex and drug-crazed maniacs. After seeing the backlash from the social media after posting the article, Wallace began to work on a new one titled The Acronyms Teens Really Use on Social Media, which she began with an apology. For this new and more accurate list, which was posted today, she began to look to a new source of information, teenagers. While 1 or 2 of the acronyms are a bit dated or may contain the wrong phrasing, the list is for the most part accurate. The new article, which, while mostly apologetic, still has a bit of critical undertone regarding teenagers. Wallace's attempt at redemption has not received a response so far by the social media masses. And here's Nick with your Showtimes.
Hello and welcome back to Showtimes, your one-stop shop to find out what to do with that extra $7.50 you have lying around. The weekend box office is in, and I'm 3-0 as The Martian takes first place with over $50 million. The film is also enjoying wildly positive reviews, and I have to say it's one of the best movies I've seen so far this year. Hotel Transylvania 2 fell into second place with a still impressive $33 million, and Sicario came in third with an estimated $12. As for the upcoming week, you can see Pan, starring Hugh Jackman, which looks like a hot pile of garbage, or you can see The Walk from legendary director Robert Zemeckis. Obviously, I'm going to recommend The Walk, which follows the true story of Philippe Petit, who illegally hung a wire between the World Trade Center in the 1970s and walked across it. Joseph Gordon-Levitt stars in the biopic, and you should check it out in IMAX 3D as long as you're not as terrified of heights as I am. This upcoming week's box office is going to be a much closer race, and I'm having trouble calling it. The Martian and Pan are going to be going at it until the end, but I'm going to say that The Martian will hold on to the top spot for another week. At home this week, you can rent Insidious 3 on Redbox, which isn't as good as the first 2, but still has a few good scares. On Amazon Prime, you can catch Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, which is still one of the best movies I've ever seen. And on Netflix, you can see Batman Begins, the intro to the epic Christopher Nolan Dark Knight trilogy. Finally, my under-the-radar pick of the week is Boogie Nights. It's directed by Paul Thomas Anderson and stars a great cast with Mark Wahlberg, Julianne Moore, and Philip Seymour Hoffman. Not really sure how much I can say about this one. Mark Wahlberg plays a porn star who gets discovered by Burt Reynolds. It sounds a little weird, but it's actually a really interesting movie that is really funny as well. That's all the news I have for you this week. Check back next week so I can make sure you don't see any terrible movies.
Thanks, Nick. Russia has been hitting Syria with airstrikes since last Wednesday, and President Obama finally spoke out against the strikes on Friday, saying that direct intervention shows a weakness in Putin's tactics rather than a strength. Russia's attacks will also be accompanied by hundreds of Iranian foot soldiers, and eventually Lebanese forces will join the battlefield.
3 scientists from around the world received the Nobel Prize of Medicine earlier today. They received the prize for discovering natural-based remedies to the parasites responsible for malaria and river blindness. The compounds are now used to fight pests ranging from bedbugs to lymphatic filariasis. The compounds were actually derived from naturally occurring bacteria in the soil. The winners of the prize are from Japan, China, and Ireland. The scientists, working separately, strove for one common goal: to fight the causes of malaria and river blindness.
The controversy surrounding the pontiff and his stand on homosexual relationships has taken an interesting turn this weekend with the revelation that Pope Francis met with his old friend, Yayo Grassi, who is also openly gay. The Pope held a private audience with him, his partner, and some friends after Grassi had contacted asking if he could come see the Pope while he was here in the United States. This news also comes on the cusp of news that the stories of Kim Davis's audience with the pontiff may have not been completely accurate as to the actual nature of the audience.
Starting today in the UK, shoppers are going to have to pay 8 cents to use plastic bags at large stores across England. This was put into effect to deter shoppers from using these bags, which can take up to 100 years to biodegrade, and instead encourage the use of reusable or paper bags. The charge to use the plastic bags isn't the first time we've seen this kind of thing put into action in the United Kingdom. Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland all placed similar charges on the use of plastic bags between the years of 2011 and 2014. While some think charges on the plastic bags will show a decrease in their usage, others believe that the idea won't catch on. The effects are yet to be seen, but when they are, other countries may try a similar approach to preventing the destruction of our environment. And now to Trevor with this week's weather.
Thanks, guys. We're going to take a look at this week's weather for October 5th. Starting off with what's out there right now. Temperatures are comfortable, 66 degrees. Wind speeds are calm, 0 to 5 miles per hour. Humidity is 78%, and the dew point is at a comfortable 58 degrees. This is webcam footage from earlier today. You've got the Library Bridge and the high-rises in the background and blue sky, which is what we've been waiting for days. Next, we've got the radar out there right now. Scattered showers were around earlier today in the upstate and the Midlands, but if we zoom out some more, you can see that the Carolinas were still getting quite a lot of rain, specifically the Outer Banks of North Carolina, from the low-pressure system that we've been dealing with recently. Next, we've got the tropics, and this is a visible satellite loop of the tropical Atlantic. You've got the Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean here. And this is Hurricane Joaquin. Joaquin is weakening, and it is moving far away from land at a very fast pace. But we do still have this low-pressure system over the southeastern United States. Next, we've got the temperature trend for the next 7 days. Weather looks a lot better this week than it did last week. Sunny skies and comfortable temperatures. For Saturday, if you're staying in Clemson for the game, the weather does look good. But if you are heading home for fall break, this is what you can expect. If you're staying in the southeast, weather overall looks good. High temperatures in the 70s and 80s. If you move up to the northeast, there is a slight chance of rain later in the weekend. Highs are going to be in the 50s and 60s. Moving over to the Central Plains, again, partly cloudy skies, generally maybe some sun, maybe some rain. Highs in the 80s and 90s. Southwest is going to be hot. You're out in the desert, 90s and 100s. Upper Midwest, you've got highs in the 60s and 70s, partly cloudy, and the Northwest, you've got temperatures in the 60s and 70s with a slight chance of rain showers throughout the break. The bottom line basically is catastrophic flooding continues to impact much of South Carolina, but for our weather, much drier and more comfortable week is ahead weather-wise. But here is a visible satellite loop from Saturday, and this is the biggest story, the biggest weather story that everybody is talking about is the widespread flooding in South Carolina. And here's the setup. So Hurricane Joaquin was right here. This is taken when Joaquin reached peak intensity of 155 miles per hour, very close from a Category 5. If it reached Category 5, it would have been the first in the Atlantic since 2007. But there was a low-pressure system over the southeastern United States that was spinning in moisture from the ocean, and it just so happened that Joaquin was here, and Joaquin provided moisture for this low pressure to feed into South Carolina, and that axis set up right over South Carolina. And we're going to see a 120-hour radar loop of that axis forming over South Carolina, and then it started to turn, and it just stayed there and stayed there and stayed there and brought widespread flooding, and flooding is still going on right now and will continue to go on. So Clemson was spared by far from the worst. Clemson did see about 2 to 3 inches of rain, but there were spots that got over 3 feet of rain in the Carolinas. Here are some pics of the week, not just one. This is the I-77, I-26 exchange in Columbia in South Carolina, and this is the interstate. It's flooded. Here's another picture from near Columbia. This is also a flooded home. This is in Charleston, flooded apartments. Water is up to the cars. That's how bad it was. This is the Charleston Battery here, and you can see the tides were really high. The tides reached over the Battery Wall. It was the highest high tide since Hurricane Hugo and flooded downtown. They have closed off the peninsula, or they did for a few days. Many roads are still closed. But if we look over here, this is the rainfall map of the precipitation that we saw for the last few days. And a lot of areas did get a lot of rain. Clemson, as I just said, was spared from the worst, but the Low Country and areas in Columbia did get hit pretty hard. Lastly, make sure you follow me on Twitter at Trevor's Weather for more frequent updates since I'm only here once a week. And of course, like and follow Tigervision on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for all the updates you need. Back to you guys.
That's all for tonight. Thanks for joining us.
Be sure to like our Clemson page and follow us on Twitter. Also, if you missed this week's game day, here's Katie Davidson with a recap.
It's a rainy day in Tigertown, but that didn't stop thousands of fans from heading out to a mud-swamped Bowman Field for ESPN College Game Day. While flags and signs flew through the air, Tigers both young and old chanted for their team. As many Tiger fans will tell you, football is a family affair, and the rain didn't stop even the youngest members of the Clemson family from showing up.
What are you looking forward to for the game tonight?
A win. Still, others heeded the university's weather warning and came prepared for the impending storm. Coleman Dove got to Bowman Field at 5 a.m. this morning, ready for whatever may come his way.
Just in case, the floods hit, I'm gonna survive.
The showing on Bowman was just a fraction of what's expected tonight, as tens of thousands will flock to Death Valley to watch their Tigers take on the Fighting Irish. With both teams boasting an undefeated record, the winner will most definitely take it all.
You think we're going to win?
I hope so. I think we will.
As alumni, students, and fans flooded to Bowman, it's clear that their sentiment was the same. Clemson football means family and tradition.
Clemson football means to me my life. My grandfather, he brought us to every football game. I've missed 2 football games in 33 years, and Clemson football game means my life to me. I love it. I don't know what I would do without it.
And who knew, a familiar face for many people is actually a Clemson fan.
Oh, who's not a Tiger fan? In the Vatican, we love the Tigers.
Tiger fans have no problem braving the storm. Even with the threat of flash flooding and 30-mile-per-hour winds, thousands of fans made their way to Bowman today to show off their Tiger pride. With only hours to go until game day, Clemson, South Carolina is about to be flooded with orange. From Bowman Field, I'm Katie Davidson for Tigervision.
Have a great evening, Clemson, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks on the Monday Night Roar.